let's go through Decode number 91, Decode Ways. For this question, it gives us a string S. The S can be those kind of character. It's like can be from like a 0 to 9. And let us find how many decoding ways. And it says that the English character A is we can use 1, right, to represent A, and 2 represent B, and 26 can represent Z. So for example, let's take an example 1, 2, right? So we know we can decode this one as 1, that is A, and 2 is B, and also 1, 2, that is L. So there are A, B, or L. So there are 2 decoding ways. So the second question, the same, we'll tell you 2 to 6, and there is BZ, VF, BF, 3 kind of possible combinations. And the third one, we'll see that is start with 0. We'll say 0 cannot use any character. So there is no 0, 6, right? So we'll say the result that is 0. So let's doing this kind of questions. We thinking about for every for example, we have this cherry, right? The decoding ways. For example, this is if we already calculate, for example, the decoding ways I-1, right? Then we calculate the next how many decoding ways, that is I. It will let's say if this one is a number which represent which is from 1 to 9, right? This character is from 1 to 9. Then we can have this character. This, at least one of the scenarios that this kind of decoding ways will be at least these kind of decoding ways, and we append 1 to 9, so that will add DP. We can use the DP, right? DP add DPI-1. And if so that means we use this one as a single character, right? To represent from 1 to 9. And we also look at the previous one, whether it is 1 or not, right? Well, if it is 1, and this is from 0 to 9, we don't need to care about what is the range. Then we also need to add a DP I-2. And also the previous one, if it's 2, right? We can from this part, right? If this is 2, and also this kind of data is from the range 0 to 6, right? Then we also need to add this part. So I think the question is kind of straightforward. We can write use a dynamic programming, have length of n+1, and in the end we just return dpn. So let's begin to write code for this. Let's convert this one to be a bit bigger. Convert this one to be cherry. Mm. Let's say if s equals now or s dot length equals to now or s dot start with. For this kind of scenario, we just return there. Let's get its length out in array dot length. And we are going to have a DP. We can use an extra length. We have a DP0 equals 1, that is initial value, which is a start value for the later calculation. And the DP1 will also be 1. The reason is that if this start with 0, it's already written 0. So alternatively, we can, if we don't have this condition s start with 0, we can just write, for example, array I minus 1 equals 0 or not. If it is 0, then 0. Otherwise, it is 1. We can, if we don't have this condition, but we already have this condition, then we just set this one as a 1, right? So for int I equals 2, I small equal to n, I plus. So let's say if array I minus 1 does not equal to 0, right? Then dp I equals dp I minus 1. Then we'll say look at if a array I minus 2 equals 1, or array I minus 2, let's add a parentheses here, equal to 2, and array I minus 1 smaller equal to 6, right? We have a dp I will plus equal to dp I minus 2. Then we just return dp n, right? Um, doing like this way, the time complexity will be O(n), and the space complexity will also be in O(n). And we'll see every DPI will only depend on the DPI minus 1 and also DPI minus 2. So we can use just to have the 3 dimension, right? Just array size of 3. Can use a rolling array to do this. But the thing is that here we need to have dpi y by 2 equals 0. We need to make sure this one will be 0. And just add here, add things here. And we just return dp this one mod 3. Okay. So in this case, the time complexity will be O(n), and the space complexity will be constant. Alternatively, we can add some kind of early terminations. For example, we'll say if for example, a array I minus 1 equals this, right? And array minus 2 equals this. We just return 0. So we can have some early termination. For example, we have 0, 0. We know if we meet this kind of scenario, it will never be able to decode the string. So if we add this, I think this will get a bit faster. Okay, not too much differences. So yeah, so this is a question.